and welcome everybody to this week's Market Share, the short weekly segment brought to you by MKR, where we bring you all the noteworthy news and updates surrounding digital media and the world today. I'm your host Genevieve, and we've got some super insightful information for you this week, so let's get started. First up, let's talk about Twitter and the sea of same we always seem to come back to. Based on a new report, Twitter users are getting awfully tired of the sea of same, surprise, surprise. Obviously, Twitter is the place to be funny, irreverent, witty, and relatable, but Twitter's new survey reports that brands often come off as indistinguishable and outdated to users when they try so hard to stay in that Twitter headspace. This Twitter survey was actually very clever. They took away any identifiable brand marks such as names, logos, keywords, and hashtags from different posts and asked participants to guess which brands the messages come from. Only 1 in 3 were able to get the correct answer from the 5 options provided. So yes, we know what 5 billion articles about how to be successful on Twitter have told you, but we're here to tell you that using a specific number of unique keywords and characters, or only going after a humorous messaging strategy, may not be the way to go. One way to break away from the crowd is to comment on social and cultural issues. 56% of survey participants said brands could do so, and 37% said that they should. We're entering a new era where brands are actually encouraged to share their opinions on the crazy and important things that happen every day. So if you choose not to follow the pack, just remember to do so in a meaningful and authentic way. Next up, let's talk about millennials and a shocking finding that will shake you to your core. We all think of the millennial generation as the first generation that had a somewhat digital experience growing up, but that doesn't mean they don't enjoy taking the traditional route too. According to Morgan Stanley, millennials are at the height of their consumption power, making them the obvious target for many advertising campaigns. But the most effective way may not be emails or texts. It might actually be greeting cards through good old snail mail. Even though it may seem as though society has lost that personal touch we always hear about from our older loved ones, it turns out we all still have a soft spot for kindness wrapped in a colorful envelope. Each year, 6 billion cards are consumed, and millennials have the biggest share of that consumption, meaning that when they actually care about something, they use the offline route. We just talked about the sea of same, and this could be your ticket to getting noticed by your target audience if you follow a few simple guidelines. 1. Have a good grasp of your brand. Get creative, but make sure that you make meaningful connection with your audience backed by your authentic voice. 2. Define your customer's preferred tone, which as we already know is authentic if you're targeting millennials. 3. Use direct mail to drive digital exchanges. Figure out how you can use a call to action like a QR code or landing page to get more engagement on online platforms. And finally, 4. Make sure you measure your success so you can rinse and repeat. Last up today, let's discuss how emotion has overtaken reason in brand choice. If you've ever worked in advertising or done any research into the subject, you'll know that advertising works by making emotional connections, not rational appeals. But this statement has become even more true over the years. In 1997, 60% of brand preference was towards rational considerations, and now 80% of brand preference leans towards the emotional counterparts. Advertising has continued to evolve while going back to the primal instincts of making people feel something. Depending on the category, what drives emotional attachment will vary, which means that expecting an entertaining ad or an ad based solely on benefits to do all of the work for you probably isn't the most effective stance. We're not saying don't be rational, because it will still help your audience develop an emotional attachment to your brand. But what we're saying is that that's only one piece of the puzzle. Let's think about the famed Budweiser ad, where we see beautiful Clydesdales and cute little puppies. Budweiser can make this ad because they've spent time developing their brand messaging about quality and price, as well as distinguishing themselves in the market. If insert mom and pop shop name here created the same commercial, it probably wouldn't have the same effect because they don't have the same foundation to build on. So make sure when you're creating ads that are emotionally charged that you take a step back to evaluate where you are in your brand journey and what can launch you to that next level. That's all for this week's Market Share. My name's Genevieve, and I'll see you all next week.